Harrison, we're so glad you're with us today, and welcome home.
Thank you.
Harrison, tell me a little bit about your faith background growing up.
I grew up in a very devout Protestant home. We were Methodist growing up, and then somewhere around the time of, I would say, high school, my family transitioned to a very charismatic-based Protestantism that was very much focused on health and wealth and kind of the gospel of prosperity train of thought. In high school was the first time I started asking serious questions because, you know, you would pray and pray very hard to a God that you loved, to take away this illness or to give me this thing, and it wouldn't happen. And at the end of the day, the only person you could blame would be yourself because you didn't have enough faith to achieve whatever the end was. So I think that even going out of high school, there were a few problems that I started to see.
Harrison, tell us a little bit about your undergraduate studies and your faith journey during those years.
So after high school, kind of following my charismatic background, I went to Oral Roberts University, which is kind of the center point for all things charismatic Protestant. So I went there, I was pretty excited, so I started to study in theological historical studies with a minor, I think, in New Testament studies. And that was really the crux of where some of the problems that were in their nascent stages in high school really started to mature for me at Oral Roberts, because that was the dominant theme of the entire campus's spiritual life. And so you started to see those same problems that when people would strive after something, so they'd have a family member that had become sick, pray and pray and pray, and then the family member wasn't healed as they were taught, then all of a sudden they had no one to blame but themselves. And I actually saw a lot of young men and women who really were passionate about the Lord really crumble and fall apart because they couldn't understand why they didn't have enough faith to get these things done. And so for me personally, I started to raise a lot of questions. And one of the big aspects that I started to notice was that there wasn't a harmony between faith and reason. And that started to become a very, very big problem for me.